on a consistent basis, right? There at certain points on certain days they'll have like a decent crowd there, and usually the camera doesn't, at least when the 3 or so years that I was there, the camera didn't always focus on the area of the stadium at the Dubai Duty Free Tennis Stadium. Mm-hmm. There's one area where everyone tends to congregate, and the camera doesn't always show that, and it's covered too. But one of the things that's interesting about Dubai is in the past, and I say in the UAE as well, just talking with some of the crew over there in the last, I don't know, decade or so, there's been a really heavy sports push, an athletics push there. And as a result, almost every weekend, and it feels like almost every day, there's some sort of event going on. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a world golf tour event, or F1, or one of the lower divisions in racing, or camel racing, which is popular, or falconry, which is popular, and all these events are constantly coming through there because it's a big money market now. So there is a very laissez-faire type approach to, going to an event that might sell a ton of tickets, but people will be like, "Oh, I'll show up for an event here or there, and then I'm going to go to the Dubai Mall where there's another event going on." So it's almost like a courtside seat. It's almost like Lakers tickets, Yeah. Where it's kind of like an event where you show up for a little while and you're not necessarily like getting there for warm-ups and staying through to the end like the diehards are. It's a little bit different approach because there's so much going on that weekend, and it's one of many on any, and that has been the case in the past too.
I think the most sorry, I just got a text message. The most encouraging thing, like I said, are the streaming numbers. Like I think that when you look at the viability of a competition, to be able to provide high level coverage like that, if they're not getting the views online to do that, that becomes a lot more difficult because it becomes very hard to get sponsors to pony up the amount of cash that you need to do that. So,
and what's nice for them, I don't know if this is still the case, is they're usually able to leverage some of the connections that they have within the organization and their ties to the royal family, and some of the news stations and media production companies that they have over there, where it may not cost them as much if they use people locally, at least for some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, but I also think it's just proof of concept that if you put together a really good event with a solid stream and you have some big name athletes, you can get decent numbers. And the other thing too is that the times here in the United States were not ideal to watch. I mean, they're better in the East Coast, but on the West Coast, and you still got very, very good numbers. So good on them. I'm encouraged by that. Do we have a biggest winner, biggest surprise from this competition, men or women, for either one of you?
I'd probably say Corn Frey.
Biggest winner.
Backing it for win.
Yeah.
I mean, typically she's done well here. I mean, this is her third time finishing fourth or better. She won last year.
Can you pull up a leaderboard again? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sure, 1 sec.
Yeah, it's back-to-back wins here for her. But even as far back, you remember 2018 going into the 2019 season, she was in a three-way. She was in a win and year end scenario for that year at the very first sanctional. It was between her, Jamie Green, Sam Briggs, and Sarah Sigmundsdottir. All of them were essentially tied atop the leaderboard. So this has been a place where she feels comfortable competing and has done really well. And this is now a third of competition win this calendar year. She won Madrid. She also won the French Throwdown. So, I know that maybe people are still, I don't know if people, but I say just in general, like looking at the progression of her as an athlete, looking for that next level jump at the games and how it hasn't quite happened yet. She's gotten close. I think 14 this year was a really strong, almost there type performance, but continuing to build competition experience and not just experience, but like winning experience at a high level against some good athletes. I think always is a good thing to have in your bag of tricks.
Lauren, biggest winner, biggest surprise?
Yeah, full transparency, I didn't watch any of the Dubai Fitness
You
Champions
were kind of
stream
tied up. Yeah.
as I was at FitFest, but I think it's just promising seeing names like Mignon Agonis, who's been in the game for a while, still staying consistent and towards the top of the leaderboard and able to finish just outside of the podium. I think she's been there the past at least 2, maybe 3 years at Dubai, and is always kind of in contention for that podium. But yeah, just seeing the similar names up at the top, contenders that we expect, cool to see.
Yeah.
The other names that don't compete as much in the U.S. as well, I think is good for the sport to give some shout outs to some of these athletes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Claudia Gluck deserves some too. I mean,
Yeah.
second place finish. I know Tommy.
Same with Solberg.
Same with Solberg. Yeah, we haven't. I think we saw her back in the Filthy 150 back in 2019. That's because she, I think, by virtue of finishing maybe 5th or 6th, wound up getting the invite that year in the sanctioned event. But that's the last time I remember really talking about her in a live competition. But to see her finishing 3rd, but I know those are 2 that we talked about coming in.
Yeah, and I think there's. I mean, you could probably talk to probably a handful of women here on the leaderboard that walked away feeling like they had a good win, like Mia Hesketh getting back in the individual side and performing well. Norbleeker, who from the Netherlands, she was actually the alternate on that No Shortcuts team. She, this was kind of like a big kind of rookie debut type individual performance, I think, on a bigger stage beyond just semifinals. And she obviously performed well and made it through to the cuts, which I think is a strong performance in this like international field. And even you go down the leaderboard to some athletes that got cuts, some of the team athletes that were going individual that we talked about, whether it was Kyra or Devin or even Ingrid, who made it above the cut and won an event. Ingrid, Kyra, and Devin all won an event this weekend. And so at some level, we're able to step up and lead the pack. For Kyra and Devin, I think the mistakes that they had and the poor performances on the leaderboard aren't necessarily indicative of something bigger. Kyra's came in the EMOM and the obstacle, which were very non-traditional formats, and having an EMOM in a competitive setting was very unique in that regard. And then Devin, I believe, bombed out on the clean and jerk. So it was like, that's a pretty, I don't want to say simple fix, but it's a very clear, like, this is where a mistake was made.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a general capacity thing. It's more of a strategy thing, especially that early in the competition. So I think there was plenty to hang your hat on for some of these athletes that finished pretty well given their recent experience as individuals.
I got to shout out Ricky Garrard too. I mean, I'd put him in a big winner category. Despite he has that terrible finish to start, but I mean after that.
I mean, look at how many events did he beat Roman in throughout the weekend?
2. Let's see, event 5. He beat him in event 5. He beat him in event 6. He beat him in event 7, and he beat him in event 8. But 7 and 8 were just by one place, and only
he beat him in 5 of the 8 events.
Beat him pretty well, and
Beat him in 5 of the 8 events. Is that what you said, Tommy?
5 of the 8 events, he beat him.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty notable. If he didn't have the one obstacle course, I mean, he would have arguably been on the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, so he would have been right there at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Lazar did great. He won 3 events.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was incredibly consistent. Again, he's another person who's done very well at this competition. He's podiumed multiple times, and it was between Roman, Lazar, between the podium plus Braun, they took home all of the event wins this weekend. So very clear set of big bats hitting home runs.
And not to mention, Ricky had competed the weekend before, was down under the weekend before.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah.
And I mean, so the contrast with him and Chandler Smith too, because Chandler competed and and didn't quite make the cut, and honestly looked like he wasn't as sharp as usual. So which is fine.
Big shout out to Big Braun, man.
Big Braun.
I know he had the event win, but and you would expect in the strength event, but he finishes 9th overall.
Mm-hmm.
And for a guy that is, we've talked to Justin Kotler about him, trying to become a more well-rounded athlete, not just a guy who's known for slinging around a barbell. That's all we know. That's progress.
And that's coming off of, because I think he was in maybe the lead overall after day one.
Yes, he was.
And then he followed it up in day two with a second to last in a last in event 3 and 4, and then turned it back around again and had some strong finishes at the end. So you hope to see some improvement on the seesaw type stuff, but still, there might have been a day when those bad finishes happen, and then he falls outside the top 10 and gets cut.
Sure. And, I mean, not where he wants to be, but progress. And yeah, I'm sure Justin. I'd love to get Justin's thoughts on him next time we talk to him. Just get a progress report there. Well, that was Dubai. Let's go to the other one that was going on. Now, Dubai was the only one that had a stream. The other two we're going to talk about didn't have any live streams. We had the Legends Championship going on. Just so many competitions there, and we can just run through the winners really fast. Men 35-39, Michael Pass wins that competition. For the women, it's Megan Markey. For the men in 40-44, Nick Aranda took that one. Women 40-44, it was Jamie Latimer. Men 45-49, friend of the show, Jason Grubb wins again. Just crushing it. Women 45-49, Amy Chapiton. Here, let me. I'll call it the leaderboard here so everybody can see what I'm talking about. If you're watching this, so we're on women 45-49, men 50-54. Corey Borline. Nice job, Corey. Women 50-54. It was Jen Dieter. All right, Jen, another friend of the show. Good job, Jen. Men 55-59. Chris Rowe. Women 55-59. Shanna Bunce. Love Shanna. Congratulations, Shanna. Men 60-64. Tony Tursky. He wins. Love that name.
I like that women said that.
Lynn Watt. Yeah, Tony Tursky. Bears. He just sounds like he should be on the Super Bowl. Sorry, I like that. Men 65 plus, George Cope. And then women 65 plus, Denise Moore. So congratulations to everybody. And I'm really impressed with, and I love these guys, Bob Jennings and Joe Linton, who put on that competition. To be able to do that for that many people, that's a logistical Herculean effort right there to be able to pull that off. And every time you talk to people, and I've been lucky enough to go to that competition twice, they're all happy to be there. They all love the way it's run. And I think that the championship for CrossFit in the masters and age group categories, masters categories specifically, are in very good hands with these two.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the championship for CrossFit? Because I haven't seen anything on the CrossFit Games.
Well, I think that was, we talked about this last week with Wheelwatt, right?
Yeah.
There was nothing. CrossFit didn't put out anything that maybe I'm wrong because I didn't spend a ton of time on Instagram this weekend.
I do.
Or social media in general. But I didn't see anything come across my feed on the CrossFit Games page.
Let me look. From
Legends. And I just don't understand.
I didn't see anything.
I'll just repost some stuff. Let people know what's going on. But big shout out to Bob Jennings and Joe Linton and the Legends crew for being able to pull off a great event, and give the Masters that experience that they're looking for as they get into the 2024 season. So, right? There's nothing there, right?
Legendary moment, but of Rich Froning from several years ago.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I would have liked to have seen it. It's too bad because that competition and those athletes deserve something. And what a better way to start building momentum for next year and what these competitions are going to be than to start really talking about them here in 2024. I mean, you just got to repost what they're doing. Just repost it.
To me, it's just a missed opportunity and a missed way to gain the fans and the spectators that you want to be helping support Legends when it is their CrossFit event. And I know that things always come down to dollar signs, but you could have sent, 2 people to shoot?
You didn't need to send anybody. Just repost some stuff.
Or that. Yeah.
Really, it's just, I guess it's one